I'm Drew Fitzner. We have a property here about 30 k's north of Griffith. I'm third generation farmer on this property. There's about 3,400 hectares or thereabouts, probably more like 3,200 that we crop each year. So yeah, mainly wheat and barley, canola, peas, lupins, vetch, a bit of a mix, but yeah, predominantly wheat. So our agronomist got onto us saying that INCYT was a team wanting to test an inversion tower. So I thought, yeah, why not? Let's give it a go. My background's in electrical engineering, so I like technology. So yeah, good opportunity to try something new. Yeah, no, they came out, they set up the inversion tower, downloading the app and installing that was pretty straightforward. They handled that process pretty easily. So yeah, it wasn't much on our part that needed to be done. We just had to find a location for it and have it set up. So that particular problem is spraying. So spray drift has been something that's been brewing for quite a while, particularly in the 2,4-D chemistry, getting into cotton or other sensitive crops, and trying to, I guess, get data based on, you know, are we doing the best job that we can? Are we keeping our chemical on the paddock? And, you know, if we are, well, that's great. At least we've got data to prove that. But unfortunately, it's not as simple as just an inversion tower, and there's a lot to be done in terms of coming up with regulations or just defining what a hazardous inversion is. It seems very subjective at this point in time. There's a lot of factors that go into it, so that's one particular pain point of trying to work out how we navigate that in the future too. And sometimes that's just got to come by the powers that be above, but anyway, at least we've got the data to try and look at it and see for ourselves what that is. So we've got a fair few sensors now, ranging from tank level, pressure, and as well as the inversion tower and weather stations and all sorts. So there's a lot there. So I've been utilising the dashboards, which is very handy. It's handy to have the different things that I want where I want them, so it's easier to access. So one of the things I use the weather station data for is when I log weather for when I'm doing a spray job. At the start of a spray job, I'll take a screenshot of our current weather station, and at the end I'll do it again and record that on AgWorld, which is what we use for all our cropping. Any application or anything that we do in a paddock goes on that, so it's a handy record that we have. So having the INCYT weather stations has actually been pretty handy because they're strewn across the farm that's a bit closer to the paddock I might be at, so I can actually take a screenshot of a particular paddock when I was over on the far side of the farm with a weather station that was closest to it, which is more accurate and more representative of the time that I was spraying too, so that's been really helpful. Yeah, really good. One of the things with any technology or any product really is support. It's key. If you haven't got support, you can have the best product in the world and people won't use it, or it'll get a bad name for it. So support is very, very important, particularly for we're getting into a space where a lot of us farmers can't update or fix things like that. Gone are the days where you could just put a spanner or a hammer on something and you'd be able to fix it. You need more than that. So support's really key, and I've found INCYT really good for that. Yeah, contacting Simon has been really helpful. Sending feedback to Tom directly has been good in terms of the app side of things. So that's been really, really good. Yeah. One of the biggest problems that we're facing with technology is the amount of apps that are on my phone. For example, I've got like 9 weather apps that's to obviously look at the weather and see whether we're going to get rain or not, for example. And that's just expanding, like the amount of apps that we're using so for example, like we've got one for AgWell, which is what we use for all our paddock data. We've got a separate app for scouting particular weeds or problems. It just grows. So having that in one spot certainly makes a massive, massive difference. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And that's where all this is going. If you've got data and sensors that are measuring stuff, all of a sudden you've got the opportunity to manage what you've got and manage it in a more strategic way. You know, we're all trying to find those 1% increases, and they do tally up over time. So yeah, sometimes when you're going into technology, you don't really know whether it's going to solve the problem or not, and sometimes you've got to do trial and error to get to that. But you know, looking at the testimony of other farmers, looking at what the sensors do and so forth, I think that's where it's going to really help, basically managing what you've measured. I think what INCYT's doing really, really well, that I'm not seeing anyone else do, is just the simple fact of doing a roadshow, showcasing what you've got and showing how it works and the applications that there are. All of a sudden, when you see solutions like that, you start to think, okay, so I've got these problems, maybe this is a solution that I can use. I think the fact that INCYT are actually going out to places and showing what they've got, teaming that with a face, putting a face to what the product is, contact, like that really does help.